the ZiiGaat Lush. Let's talk about it. All right, this is a single studio tune dynamic driver 4BA hybrid IEM from ZiiGaat. And ZiiGaat has done a lot of IEMs, and so it's kind of it's daunting for a lot of users, but I think this represents a good value in the market and a very great IEM that I'm happy to be sharing with you guys today. But first of all, let's start by talking about the build quality of this IEM. The shell is pretty much the same that they've been using on a lot of their IEMs of late. The only one I have on hand right now is the ZiiGaat Arcanus, which is a personal favorite of mine. It's basically the same shell as that one, so I'm not sure if comforted this is a different one, but for me, this shell is very comfortable. I like it a great deal. When I tried the much adored Odyssey, I did not find it as comfortable as this one. So that's kind of my take on that one, but I do think this shell is nice. Now, the faceplate on my model is blue. It's kind of a nice model. I've also seen this in yellow, but I like the blue. Metallic nozzle, vented, all around really solid IEM and great shell. These are the tips, some oranges and some foamies, not too exciting. This is the case. I like the ZiiGaat case. It's a very nice and well done case. I was worried they wouldn't do this, as this is one of their cheaper models, but they did include one, and it is a nice case. So there you go. The cable has a right and left connector. You can see with the white and red connectors there. It's a nice black cable with a chin slider that stays in place, a Y split that's not branded, a black IEM cable that's not super exciting, and it's terminated in a 3.5. Nice cable, not super exciting, but serviceable. So how does this sound? Clean, clear, resolute. It has a very neutral and simple taste. This has a lot of strengths and some weaknesses. The strengths are that the sound on this I think is one of the better, like JM1 style IEMs that I've heard. To my ear, it feels exceedingly neutral with really nice forward pushed mids. And I think they've done a really good job on this IEM. I don't think it's the most excitable IEM. Like, I feel like it doesn't have a ton of bass. It doesn't have a ton of upper mids. And it's detail and sparkly. If you're looking for something unique in your music, you're not going to hear it here. But it does have a very clean presentation and a nice sounding IEM, and I really find it an enjoyable experience overall, and I think there's something to be had about this IEM. Let's do some comparisons and then go from there. All right, the ZiiGaat Lush graph, and what do you notice? Nice mids, very flat, very exceedingly flat graph. Like it's almost where it has like just enough bass not to be anemic and just enough upper mids to not be anemic. And it kind of, what it does well, I think, is that it doesn't try to do too much with its upper air frequencies, and it kind of rolls off a little bit. This is like a lot of other IEMs that I think have done well. And I think part of the problem of the Lush is that if you are searching, if you are seeking the most plain Jane simple IEM, this is a really good one. It reminds me a lot of the Arcadia, which we'll talk, or not the Arcadia, the Arcanus, which we'll talk about here. And for me, like the Arcanus for me has like this darkness with a little bit more air and treble, which kind of adds to details and sparkle. The Lush has a little bit of approach to mids, but they both have about the same bass shelf. But the Arcanus feels like a little bit more bassy to me. These two, like for me, the Arcanus is a better set, but it's also 400. It does details a little bit better, has a darkness, has a beautifulness about it, and it has like a huge lack of like 6K, which I'm sensitive to, and I really like the Arcanus better. And it kind of reminds me of a little bit of a budget Arcanus, but the problem is it's like you don't hear a lot of like details and sparkle. It's just kind of there. but it's done in an appropriate and a safe tonality. And so I think, you know, if someone's asked me what IEM's better, obviously I really like the Arcanus, and I think it's one of the better sets out there, even under 1,000. And I think the Lush is one of those sets that, you know, it's a really nice set. And it reminds me a lot of the other JM1 sets, and we'll look at some of those now. Now, if we look at something like the KE4, now the KE4 to my ear is a little bit brighter, and it's just talking from A being and from memory from that. And you'll notice like the KE4 is a little bit more exciting with a little bit more bass through here, and also a little bit more like upper air and presence region and mid treble, right? So it's a little bit more of an exciting presentation. And so I could see one person liking the KE4 more, but if you're looking for neutral, if you're looking for clean, and you're looking for something for studio use and not audiophile use, I can't think of anything around that price point that would be better. This reminds me a lot of the Volume S, and I'm a huge fan of the Volume S. The Volume S, I feel like, just from ear, it does not have enough bass for me. While the Lush has a little bit more bass, it feels a little bit better. It doesn't feel as colored. Like the Volume S just feels like it has a little bit of colorization, like possibly through here and through this mid-range kind of lower mid-range rise, which you know, to me, they're both good presentations, and I think the Volume S is a better set. But again, I like something that does something a little bit engaging and invigorating to my music. I don't really like a dead neutral presentation at all times, and so I personally find the Volume S to be a little bit better, but then again, it's almost double the price, and so it becomes a toss-up. And they do have certain characteristics, like the treble is kind of rolled off, and it just has. They both have really good mids, and that's something to note there. As far as other ones to think about, the JM1 style sets, like the Crin Ears Meta, even though you can't get this anymore, I did want to tell you people, a lot of you guys are on HeadFi, are on YouTube and watch YouTube videos, aren't really on HeadFi that much. And Critical himself actually posted on HeadFi the other day that he is doing another limited run, or like a full production run of the Crin Ears Meta, but it sounds like he's trying to do a cheaper version of it to try to be more competitive. And what do you notice? Like, to my ear, the Meta is bassier. It is a little bit sparklier. It's a different presentation all around, and they look very similar, and they're kind of going after a similar tonality, but they all have differences to my ear. Like for me, like again, the Lush is more neutral, and the Crin Ears Meta feels slightly more V with a ton of air as well. And I didn't really like the Meta as much. So if the Meta feels, if you've got one of the opportunity to demo it or try it, or you own one and it's a little bit too bassy and a little bit too mid forward, and you want something that's a little bit pulled back, I think the Lush could be a good presentation, but it's not going to be for everyone. This does remind me a little bit of the Studio 4. The Studio 4 has a little bit more lifted upper mids. It's a little bit more energetic and airy, and it is a very nice set, but like, it also sometimes, that extra air can sometimes make it feel like it's lacking bass, and the Lush doesn't feel like it lacks that bass to me as much, but it's not perfect. But these are both like that studio style tuned IEM, but the Lush does it at 180 with a dynamic driver and with what I feel is increased bass, a better fit, and a vented system, whereas the softer Studio 4 costs a ton more. I think the Studio 4 is a little bit more fun and engaging, but the Lush is more clean and neutral, and that's really what it's like to me in ear. Another one this reminds me a little bit of is the DX1. Now the DX1 is a really nice set, and this sounds good in ear. It sounds really clean and clear and has a little bit more colorization than the Lush does in ear. The problem with the DX1 is that the fit for me isn't very good. but I think it's overall a very pretty presentation. So, I mean, if looks are important for you, the DX1, maybe if you have small ear holes and you're looking for a little bit more of a colored, flavored, fun sound, I think the DX1 could be the way to go. It also has a single dynamic driver, which a lot of people get romantic about. But the Lush, to me, just has a nice, wide, even, mid-focus presentation that presents the music in just a clean, less textured approach. Okay, the ZiiGaat Lush. Let's rank it up. How did it do? Overall, I think the bass is just kind of okay, but it does have a really nice, strong mid-range presence. Its upper air and highs are good, but they're not really that amazing and perfect, but it's all around a nice set. Its mid-range presence, I think, is something really impressive at its price point. And like, if you look at the list and like the EPZ P50, I think that has an open back nature, which to me may or may not work for people, but I do think that's another excellent set at this price, but it still doesn't have as good of a mid-range to the Lush as my personal opinion is. I think it images well. Stuff sounds really nice on it. Its soundstage is really nice. It's a mid-focus set. It's really impressive, and it's a lot of fun. I wanted to show you a few other things on my ranking list that are kind of new. I might talk about it in a video sometime, but we'll do for now. This right here is the ZiiGaat area of just all the IEMs I've ranked from ZiiGaat. There's 11 of them, and where I'm putting it at is slightly below the Odyssey, above the Cinco and Cinco Trays and the Fresh Review, the Arcadia. I do think it's an impressive set in its lineup. I don't like it as much as I do the Arcanus, the Jupiter. I think the Astrea is a really fun kind of audiophile sort of a set. So I do think there's something to be said about the Lush being a very competitive set at its price. And if we look at it, we also have things listed by price. We can kind of see how things look here. I think the Lush is a really competitive IEM at $179. I think especially when you can maybe get it on sale for a cheaper price. Linsoul will often do discounted coupons. This becomes super competitive at its price point, and it's nice to see a good style JM1 IEM that fits me, that has reasonable, respectable packaging for its price, to be at a reasonable price point. And I think this is the cheapest of the new JM1 style IEMs, and I think it is extremely competitive at its price point for what it does. You know, the world of headphone and IEM reviewing is interesting. I get to talk to a lot of reviewers sometimes, and it's funny because like the difference between like an IEM and a headphone are kind of different. Like a headphone, a lot of people want a very, very neutral approach that sounds good on everything. A lot of times when people want an IEM, because you can easily swap them out and they're more pocketable, they're more acceptable and tolerable of a fancy audiophile sound. I think if you need an IEM that just sounds good, clean, pleasing, not distracting, and just allows you to listen to your music without any colorizations, I think the ZiiGaat Lush is the one to go. It's extremely neutral, it's extremely good, and it's just a nice overall presentation that I fully recommend at its price point. Sound signatures and what you need for your music plays in a huge factor in things. For me, I kind of like stuff that's a little bit more bouncy and fun and audiophile tuned, but I also listen to a lot of sets. But I have to say that this one does what it does in a clean, beautiful, pure kind of sense, and it gets a good, strong recommendation at its price. If you guys have any questions or comments, or there's something that I feel you would answer about this IEM or anything else, let me know in the comments below, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris, or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Go!
Go.
Go on with you!